Welcome! This is Her Identity Project, a safe space for women to explore faith, self-discovery, and personal growth. Here we will journey together to become our best whole selves, spiritually, mentally, physically, and emotionally. It's time to let go of everything that is holding you back from becoming the woman God created you to be. If you're ready to reclaim your authentic self, stick around. I'm your host, Ashley Iduda, and this is Her Identity Project. Welcome back to Her Identity Project podcast. I'm here today with a wonderful guest. Her name is Marci Lubore. Am I pronouncing your name correctly?
That's correct.
Okay, wonderful. So I'm just so excited to be here with you, Marci. I've already seen that you have just like such a beautiful heart and soul. I did get a chance to listen to some of your podcast episodes actually that were extremely moving. So I'm just excited to jump in and dive deep with you. Before we do that, I would love to have you tell the audience about yourself. Let us know, where you're tuning in from, and also what do you do?
Okay, Ashley, I'm happy to do that. So, I am a practitioner of natural healing. And right now, I'm talking to you from Northern Virginia. I'm actually from Florida, where I have not been since October, since we had our hurricanes, but I've been with my sister and a loving family. I specialize in acupressure, essential oils, and herbal medicine. And I have been mostly inspired to get out in the world in a bigger way to help people understand how they have natural healing at their fingertips. And my specialty now, and again, where we met going into podcasting together, is to create a podcast where I can cue the points. I can share some ancient wisdom with my modern twist and teach people how you too can do these self-healing techniques and really quick, easy to do techniques so that if you're busy, you can make them happen quickly in your day and just, stimulate points on your body or do some breathing. Basically, that's where I am in a nutshell. And I have been a practitioner of this for over 20 years, where I took a deep dive into traditional Chinese medicine. And I had a mentor who helped me understand and go deeper into the way the energy system in the body is in Chinese medicine. Like we look at our organs in the body, it's primary to everything and it keeps us in the flow. And so I felt some amazing shifts in my own body and just kept exploring. And I became certified to do this for horses, dogs, and cats. So it works equally as well on people, and I'm teaching it to people so you have some first aid tools in your own toolbox for beauty, for taking care of your children, and even your pets, because the pets have these same points on their body. And so I'm excited to get going with this. And basically, I will be going back to Florida and picking up again in the Sunshine State to do this just after January. So back to you.
Wow. I, of course, like many people, am such an animal lover. I did grow up riding horses, equestrian style. And so when you speak about, being able to use this type of like medicine, if you will, natural healing on animals, even, it really, it just kind of takes me to a different place. And I go, wow, like this is really impactful. And I can only speak for myself, but this is entirely new to me. I do love wellness and I do love beauty, and I like to approach it from a place of like using clean products. But I have recently just learned about, our mind and body connection and like our mind body spirit connection. We're here to learn. So I want you to do kind of a deeper dive on philosophy of inside out beauty. So you've told me that you can shift beauty literally from the inside out. So what do you mean by that? What does that even mean?
Well, that does sound pretty big if you're not not into seeing that your whole being as an energetic being first, but what it really means is beauty from the inside out
Yeah.
is stepping into the creation that we really are, first of all. And I'm going to put it to you in the simple way. If I want to be here on this call today, I did not just say leg muscles, stand me up. I heard from my soul, rise and get up and do the things we need to do. So the animation that we are comes from the inside out. It is what we're blessed with. It's what I do call our essence or our life force, or simply just your energy. So to
Right.
shift beauty from the inside out is simply staying in the flow of your own energy. And for me, it has to do a lot with emotions or energy in motion and letting go of so many things that are like we're putting our finger on a pause button and not pressing play. So when we have a clean energy system, it's probably restored when we sleep at night. We don't have thoughts we take with us to bed, and then our body does what it needs to do naturally overnight to detox itself and to build back its red blood cells and all the things that it does to keep us healthy. So, beauty from the inside out to me means stay in the flow, first of all. Part of
Okay.
that goes
So,
hand in hand with the other thing we mentioned, which was detoxification. Traditional Chinese medicine has a stance that you can actually shift the energetics in your body, stimulating certain acupressure points just to keep things moving and to engage your lymphatic system so that you're literally helping detoxify things we pick up in our water or our food or the atmosphere that we breathe or even the products we put on our body. It's the toxins. And so when I say beauty from the inside out, that's basically our mission, is to get back into the mind body connection, remember who we really are, and just do little tiny things. Like I said, they can be easy to do. You know, you can do 1 point and still shift something in 30 seconds. Do it on both sides of your body. Let's say both wrists, for instance, if the point's on your wrist, and it takes you a minute and you have really helped your body get back into a parasympathetic nervous system response so that you're in rest and digest, and then your body has the ability to do what it naturally does best. So that's how I would look at it, from beauty from the inside out, just staying in the
wow.
flow and getting your body's organ
Okay.
systems to work like a machine.
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot to unpack. I feel like that itself could be a book, especially for people who are like new to these concepts. So, what I heard from you is that we are energy beings and that we have the ability and the need to shift our energy. So, what you're saying is we can change our state or like choose to change our energy. So is all of where do you want to start? Because to me this would easily align into how you do it, the methodology, which is the self acupressure. Is that correct?
The method would be self acupressure, and I call it self acupressure because I'm your guide and I'm helping you learn a lot in analogy and through little stories of the ancient wisdom, how to understand what you're doing, what it's shifting. But I call it self acupressure because you're actually doing it to yourself. So while I'm a practitioner and I can do it to animals and to people, I'm teaching you to do this to yourself. And you can calm your child. You can, do what you want with it at the appropriate time.
I'm
For
going to
me,
stop you there. I'm going to stop you because I really want to try to unpack this for the listeners at home. So, like, I want you to walk us through a situation. How do I know that I need self acupressure? Like, is it because I'm in a bad mood, or is it because I'm feeling out of alignment in my body, or is it because I'm observant of maybe like tension somewhere in my body? Like, what can you teach us, how we would know, like, okay, Ashley, go go perform this exercise you just learned from Marci. Can you start there?
absolutely. And you just hit it on all facets. When you are feeling out of sorts, when your shoulders feel kind of stiff, when
Okay.
you are experiencing frustration, anger, short temper. All of these things are indications of what's going on in your body. So, absolutely. And I like to keep it simple. And I have one acupressure that I would recommend everybody know how to do, which is the number one acupressure that can calm stress and anxiety very, very quickly, which when we do that helps your body realign in many other ways. So once you start feeling stress free, then some of the tensions go away, some of the frustration seems to disappear. And a lot of times the discomfort in the body just naturally goes away because we're not holding ourselves in a place of tension. So I think you hit it completely. If you're not feeling your best and the emotions that are more joyful or happy or just in the flow, just that's an indicator when you can very easily shift your energy. And again, for me, it's dropping into the rest and digest phase of our nervous system. And
Oh,
that's
and
where we live our best life. So,
I would
absolutely.
love for you to tell me more about rest and digest because that's a new phrase for me. When you say that, I don't know what you mean. So
Okay,
unpack that for me.
sure. So, our nervous system is always on alert to see what's going on in our environment. And we
Yeah.
know when we are in fight or flight mode or we're frightened, we send
Yep.
out different chemicals throughout our body and it keeps us on alert so that we have, different perceptions and ways to react quickly. That takes a lot of energy in the body and it puts off certain chemicals in the body that stress our adrenal glands. We can do it for a short time, but not for very long. And the
Yep.
goal is to get into what's called the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the opposite, which is when I'm calm, when I'm centered, when my body's organ systems can then rest and digest. So that's what the meaning and where it comes from. It's dropping you into a different set of chemical reactions in the body where you're more stress free and your body, your divine intelligence that God gave us takes over and does what it does all day and all night when we don't even have to think about it.
Wow, that is huge. I mean, I feel like that alone is life changing for people because I think so many of us, and again, I'll speak for myself, but I probably walked through life for, I mean, probably a period of almost a decade where I was, in and out of like a lot of fear, a lot of anxiety, a lot of stress. And we know that it wreaks havocs on our bodies, but I don't know that people who haven't sought this information on their own are really aware of how I mean really profound our bodies are. And you use different terminology. Tell me again the parasympathetic. So the
Mhm.
parasympathetic nervous system is our ideal state,
That is the
right?
ideal state because the body
Okay,
recognizes itself as safe.
gotcha. Okay. And this is the ideal state because I love how you bring up flow. I've been reading a lot about that lately. I've been reading about abundance and how we can't get into a mindset of abundance without being in a flow state. Because if we're scared or if we're worried, our bodies and our minds are just not open to things like that. So, okay, I love it. So, we began talking about self acupressure. Can you walk us through it just with your words?
You don't need to see. Ideally, that's the gist of my entire podcast is that I'm going to be walking you through this by cueing the point.
Okay, let's do it. I'm ready.
Okay. So first, I'd like you to start by taking a nice, big, deep inhale and a nice, beautiful exhale through your mouth. And do that one or two more times. And we'll get you to get your shoulders to drop and just get yourself ready. And maybe you can already feel a shift. And then
I
I'm
do.
doing this because this is a question most people do not even think to ask. What is the number one acupressure point that you can calm stress and anxiety with? And it's a point on both of your wrists called pericardium 6. and it's abbreviated as PC6 and also known as inner gate. And this point is a heart protector, and it's my number one go-to for calming stress and regulating the nervous system. It's often referred to as a heart protector because it's got a role in safeguarding the heart's emotional and energetic boundaries. Think of it
Wow.
as a vigilant gatekeeper at the entrance of a sacred temple, your heart. I
Yes.
like to look at the analogy as in The Wizard of Oz, when they get to Oz and they knock on the door and the guard opens and says, "Who's there? What do you want?" That's basically the energy of this unseen energy in pericardium 6. It stands as the threshold between the outside world and the emotional center of your body. So it
Wow.
decides what energy, emotions, and stimuli are allowed to pass through and touch your heart, ensuring that only what's nurturing and safe and supportive can enter. So when we have a balanced inner gate, it helps maintain the healthy emotional boundaries. It prevents overwhelm and anxiety and the negative influences from affecting your heart. So it's kind of like your wise guardian, and it will only allow loving, compassionate experiences to enter. So when the inner gates open, the heart feels calm, protected, and clear, and free from the emotional turbulence of the outer world. So I'm going to show you that you have this natural healing at your fingertips, and I'm going to guide you through this process. So I will cue the point, and we're going to take a moment and try this together. And all you really need to do is follow my cues. Locate pericardium 6 on your wrist. You're going to feel the inside of your left wrist with your right hand and take a
Okay.
look. And now you're going to place the middle 3 fingers of your right hand so that your ring finger aligns with the crease on your wrist. So you just lay your ring finger right across the crease on your wrist
Okay.
and let your middle finger and your index finger just fall naturally right onto your forearm. Now, while you're there, I want you to feel for the 2 tendons that are in your forearm. So the tendons that operate your first and middle fingers, they feel like 2 hard coat hangers. You're going to pull your index finger back into the space between them. And this is pericardium 6. And it's in the exact same spot on your opposite wrist. You find it the same way. But now to stimulate the point, I just want you to gently press inward with a comfortable amount of pressure. And if you're new to acupressure, which you are, just start really gently and feel how it feels when you press inward on this point on your wrist. And if it's more comfortable, like if you feel like your elbow's winging out to the right, you can switch and put your thumb on this place and then just gently rest your fingers on the back of your wrist. So you pick whichever setup feels best for you. While your finger or your thumb stays in place, you're going to start to stimulate this point by gently rolling it in a circular motion. And then I like to kind of like push it while I roll it up towards my elbow crease gently and then back down towards my wrist. So it's almost like a little push me, pull you motion. And this gentle motion should feel pretty soothing. And I want you now, I'm going to give you a moment to sink into the point, and I want you to relax into the exercise. I know it's
Okay.
new, but really try to connect with the energy and the way it feels underneath your thumb. And if you notice anything shifting within your body, usually within 30 to 45 seconds, you get like a calming sensation wash over you. Sometimes I get like just a deep sigh.
That
And
just happened to me. I just deeply sighed, like
okay,
on
so
cue.
that
Yeah.
is the shift of you dropping
Interesting.
into your parasympathetic nervous system.
Huh.
And I oftentimes feel it as a warmth in my chest, like because this is connected to our heart space. So now that you've done it on that wrist, let's go ahead and repeat it on the opposite wrist. So locate the point in the same manner as you did above by
Okay.
just taking your 3 fingers on, laying your ring finger on your wrist crease, and naturally letting your other 2 fingers fall. Then find the space in between the tendons and get set up in the most comfortable position for you and begin to stimulate it again.
Does it matter which direction I'm making the circle?
No, to
Okay.
me, it doesn't. It's just a gentle stimulation. I look at what we do as stimulating a process for our body, and our divine intelligence is so innate that it knows whether we need to empty what's full or fill what's empty. So when you are looking for the shift, it doesn't matter. You could just be pressing on it and releasing it. You could press it on it and hold it. But I like the gentle stimulation of a circular motion and almost that pull me, push you. That's how I seem to get a very quick response. And now notice if you feel any sensations, especially in your heart space. And we'll take about another 10 seconds and then complete the exercise by brushing your fingers across both wrists over those pericardium 6 points to close the energy. And now that you've dropped into calm, hopefully you feel refreshed and recentered, and then you're ready to go off and begin whatever you have at hand. And it's a great reset. You can do this anytime, anywhere.
This is beautiful because I do a morning routine. Some call it priming, but I, really try to focus on things I'm grateful for, as if I'm there. So the feelings come up in my body. And I noticed a similar sensation wash over me just now where I felt a smile, like a gentle smile come over me and just like a genuine calmness.
It's your natural state of being. Isn't that a beautiful thing to recognize? And energy is, we don't stop to realize that. The moment I realized we had an energy system, I was like, what are you talking about? And it shifted
Yes.
everything for me, everything.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. This is so easy to do and kind of mind-blowing how profound its effects are. And so I can do this anytime I'm just in an unideal state.
Absolutely.
And I heard on a call the other day, I think um it was said that you feel an emotion for up to like 19 seconds. Does that sound right to you?
My thought is you can let go of an emotion. It takes 90 seconds, is my
90.
understanding, for
Okay,
you to
90.
have the impulse for the emotion to come into
Okay.
your awareness, for
Okay.
it to kind of accumulate to the point that you want to respond to it. It kind of climaxes, then kind of falls away, and it will finish its last note if you just leave it alone for 90 seconds. So that's energy in motion. And
Wow.
what we call emotion is what I call stuck energy, because it's not in motion. We've attached to it and we've made it ours. So whatever the emotion is, and I'm guilty of it, we all do it. We get frustrated. That's an emotion. Just allow it to crescendo and rise. And if you just leave it alone, it'll fall away and then close its energy off. So I think
Wow.
the 19-second rule would be, don't think about it longer than 19 seconds, or it becomes another thought that you just add to it. And before you know it, you're in a full-blown emotion, if that makes sense.
It makes so much sense. And I kind of feel like you just changed my life. I have never heard anyone explain energy and motion, and I have never heard emotions referred to as stuck energy. And that makes so much sense. Because it's just really a shame that so many of us don't know any better. And so we stay trapped and we let ourselves, walk around in these states, for hours, days, weeks, even years sometimes. And I think this work you're doing it has such an impact. It's so important because this can genuinely change people's lives.
I profoundly agree with that statement you
Wow.
just made. It changed my life. And I
Wow.
did hold my emotions so long that I literally shut my body down and had to
Yeah.
have an emergency surgery, only to find out I had my colon resected. And I found out later through my mentor that your emotions, what we take in and what we let go of, not only refers to food we take in through, the alimentary canal, what we eat, what we let go of. It has to do with what we take in and what we release. So our voice, we can stuff our voice long enough that it can say, my body said, I can't help you any longer. You're holding all these emotions, and now I'm making you deal with it. It was a life changer for me. It's when I learned about all of this and I found out from an energetic traditional Chinese medicine standpoint. I understand now when they say they look for the underlying cause, they're looking for stuck energy in your body. Emotion was my shutdown colon, and I had to have it resected. So you are correct. We walk around in these states of just addressing everything that comes at us without really understanding its impact. And that's why I love so much your concept about helping women understand their beauty from God's perspective. The beauty that's innate in your body is who you really are. And it has to be an energetic flow
Yeah, it
all
has
the
to
time.
radiate. Yeah. I mean, God made us in his image. God is love. We are love beings, and we're here on earth to, oh, it makes me emotional. Wow. Yeah, it's really profound. We're here to just spread that love and that light on other people. And I have always really deeply felt like that is almost like our sole purpose on earth is like to just spread love, but I didn't understand it. And this is one of the first times it ever is, wow, truly clicked for me. This is really wild.
Oh, I love
Yeah.
it, Ashley. I love
Oh,
that.
this is so beautiful. Thank you so much for this experience. Wow. Yeah. Um, Oh, yeah. You just want everyone to experience this too. And I would love to go deeper on this topic. I'm gonna take us here because I feel inclined to do it. And so, I think that there's almost a taboo in a traditional, like Christian mindset where people are afraid to journey down this road of learning about our energy. And, people hear the word chakra and they kind of freak out if they're a Bible-based Christian. And so, I I just thank God for taking me on this journey because in the beginning I was almost scared to go down this road too because I didn't want anything that was brought to my attention to take me away from my faith in Jesus. But what you're doing is you're showing me and everybody else that, I mean, this is part of the experience that God made us, these incredible complex human beings, and that this whole energy is really, a facet of it. I don't know if you have anything to say about that or not, but I am grateful and thankful that I am learning all of this, and that I have a platform to share this with other people because I think it's a shame that some Christians are so closed off, and it's all about having an open heart, full of love.
I love that. I love that about you. I would love to say ditto because I feel very strongly the same way. If it's okay with you, I'd like to give you basically my two analogies I'd have about our spirit and how it relates to energy. And one is literally what I was ministered about, which is beautiful. It's that Jesus came to save us from our mortal being, and he died on that cross for that purpose, asking us to also do away with our mortal being and live from that eternal spirit. And that spirit to me is the animation that God, creator, universe, whomever, Jesus, all of it is in us and it comes through us. And you can't put your finger on it. It is a knowing, it's a feeling, and it's a trust, definitely. But what I found very strongly is it gives us permission to be this eternal part of ourself, to do as you say, to allow love to flow in us and through us, and that we can give it at any time we want. And what I used to say was, I'm free to love. I can allow it to run in me and through me at any time I choose, and you may receive it with joy. So that's the first thing I wanted to say and ask how you feel about that.
Yeah, I mean, that's absolutely beautiful, and I resonate with that a lot because, I was talking about this yesterday with a friend, but the word says that we should die to ourselves, And so dying to ourselves and embracing, our spirit being and our eternal life is what it's all about, and that really does shape and change our entire perspective. And I love how you're talking about how it gives us permission to I guess walk in our essence, and I get it now because when you and I first talked, you used the word essence, and I kind of was like, I don't understand what that means. So um yes, I am loving this. And tell me more. What else were you going to tell us?
Okay, so essence, think animation, think spirit, think soul, think what makes you stand up, think what gets you up in the middle of the night for your children. That
Mm,
is essence. That is what you can't put your finger on.
okay.
But if you just allow yourself to press play and not hit the pause button, it just flows. And that's why one of my taglines is stay in the flow with me. And this was profound when this came to me years ago. And I have to say it was divinely another God wink to me. It came just for me. And it was
Mm,
this energy. Think about you have power that comes into your home from your power and light company, and you have a breaker box. And wherever that breaker box is, there's all these breakers to all these switches and plugs, and there's a main breaker. And you can turn the power on and you can turn it off. What I realized was, speaking of abundance, money we call currency, right?
hmm
And currency is nothing more than energy, which runs in us and through us at all times. And energy and currency and electricity are these electromagnetic field of energy comes from the earth, and we have this energy from above, and it's always there. And
mm,
man was the one who learned to harness it. Our 3D version said, let's miser the electricity, the currency, aka love, whatever, by putting an on-off switch or a dimmer switch. So how many times have people said, I love you, I don't love you anymore?
yeah,
I am feeling really good today, but now my dimmer gets turned down and I'm not feeling that good today. And that analogy became so apparent to me. It's always on. It's always on. It's on at your
it's
breaker box. It's on
right.
behind the light switch. It's always available to have this currency that moves in us and through us. And that's like the philanthropist that always allows things to come in and give because they know more will be coming in. And
Mm,
those are the analogies that shifted my perspective so many years ago, decades ago. And I looked at everything in a different way. And it all came after I learned that we have this energy system in my body. I was like, what are you talking about?
yeah,
But I understand now that it is the primary currency that God put on this entire thing we call Earth for us to experience just like nature does. Nature never turns on and off the currency. The
yeah.
plants grow, they die. The leaf never has a problem falling off the tree. It can be the last leaf of the season, but it doesn't have a problem because it knows it's going to come back as a new leaf in the spring. So these things all became very apparent to me where I was constricting my own flow, and especially how it was to look at the vision I had of myself. We all do this. At some point, we look in the mirror and see one thing that day. It could be a pimple on your face. It could be, need to get my hair colored. It doesn't matter what. We focus in on one thing we find to be not beautiful.
Yeah.
And you look at me as a vignette. You look at the entire person. You see me from head to toe,
Yep.
and you see a vibrant energy or a light that walks into a room. This holds
Yeah.
true for everybody. But we're so desperately hard on ourselves. And that is our mortal person. And so these things have shifted so that when you start to have that thought about yourself, you're like clear, cancel, correct. I am beautiful as I am. I am the energy of God. I have a beautiful spirit and a big heart that loves. And I must be beautiful. How is that not beautiful?
Right.
So,
Oh, I could just bask in this. I think this is I don't even really have the words for it. Wow. Yeah. Yeah, I can't wait to re-listen to this and like reprocess it all again, but I will be forever grateful for this conversation. It makes so much sense. I've heard it is still a newer concept to me. I've heard others refer to it as a receiver. In other words, like the energy is always there, but almost like a radio station, like where do you have your dial to actually tune into it? But it's always there. So it's, kind of similar to what you're saying that like we block ourselves from accessing it, but it is always there. And it's just such a beautiful reminder that, we are God's essence. And you're right, you really can't you can't describe it. You can't. And I think that's why my faith means so much to me, because I am privileged enough to have had some life-changing encounters with the Holy Spirit. And there is just no way to describe that level of light and love that infiltrates your body. And you want nothing more than to like, it cracks your heart open and it makes you want to pour that love out onto everybody else. Um, it's really, I mean, yeah, this is everything. Yeah, it's really beautiful.
that is beautiful. And I think in the Japanese culture, it's called kinsari. I might have it wrong, but I'm sure you've seen it. It's where they fill in cracks of broken vessels with gold because they feel like
Mm.
the cracks are the most beautiful part. And we've also seen that meme where it says, the cracks are where the light shines through. And I would say that's our vulnerability and our visibility. And sometimes you got to be cracked wide open to realize that I'm visible now 365 degrees all the way around. And honestly, that's the way I believe, designed to be. And I hope
Okay.
we're just all now getting back into this way of thinking of we're one. As you said, we're made in the image of God, and
Mhm.
God makes beautiful creations. And we are all connected to each other. And so if we can inspire other people to feel beautiful and recognize the beauty in them, and I love your mission to share your gift of this makeup application and the things that you have come into being. It is true that our outside beauty is very important and sometimes too important for people. But at the
Yeah.
same time, I love your mission. You're wanting people to find their true identity and to go out with their most vibrant face forward. And I'm so excited for you, and I'm excited to follow along
Thank
in the things that
you.
you're doing.
Thank you so much. That means a lot to me. Thank you. And talks like this make my mission that much more clear and like that much more beautiful. So um I just thank God. I thank God for this moment and for getting to meet you and just for his divine timing because I just never would have dreamed that this is what I would have been doing. And that is actually a beautiful segue. I wanted to give you an opportunity to speak about a heartbreaking experience I know you endured recently. But the beauty in it is that I heard you even describe yourself that you had are rising from it like a phoenix. And I'm gonna let you tell this story, but I know that you encountered so much devastation by the hurricane recently. You were living in Florida, and from my understanding, your life was built around this beautiful business. I'm going to let you explain it more. But it was taken from you by the damage in the hurricane. And I recall you saying that your precious cottage was not just a place, but an actual sanctuary. And I know that you've even talked about how you feel like God has kind of like impressed some downloads, for lack of a better term. So, do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Sure, I'm happy to. I've had enough time past this. This happened September 26th when Hurricane Helene came through Florida, and I have had the most beautiful privilege of working and playing on the Gulf Coast of Florida on Anna Maria Island, which is a true destination for so many people all over the world. And the one side of me, the reason why I'm there, I have some family there, but I also work for a luxury custom home builder down there, and I help people with all their design selections to build these beautiful homes. And so we have a very cultivated island. It's beautiful to be there. People love coming, and I just love the experience. And I manifested by asking for it abundantly, a just a little cottage. Isn't there a cute little place that's been renovated and a secret spot on the island that I can just be in? And I
Wow.
manifested my little Zen den, which was a mother-in-law suite to my landlady's house. And I've lived there for the past 6 years. And it truly was a Zen den. I was doing a sensational essential oil and sound bath healing on people, a massage table set up where I was having people come to me and doing one-on-ones. And I had been creating products ever since the pandemic with some essential oil blends. So I was really getting set up to be a product-based business.
Wow.
And on this one day, I had obviously left the island with my cat in my car, and I had done this many times. This was my sixth hurricane in Florida. And I
Okay.
left, and I found out the next day that my cottage had burned to the ground in 3 feet of water.
Mhm.
And the lithium battery on the golf cart caught fire when a swell of water came in off the Gulf Coast. We got hit in some areas with 8 feet of water, and by the time it went out to the second beach block, it was 3 feet of water. So when the water and the salt hit the golf cart, it ignited in flames. And I found out the next day there'd been a big fire and that my cottage obviously was gone. So I, of course, went immediately into shock. My body was like, this can't be me. This happened. And everything that I had built to that time was gone, like gone. I had a few pairs of yoga pants and a couple tops and my laptop and things I'd taken with me to my dear friend Helga's house to, you know, weather out the storm. And so that said, I am of
Wow.
the nature anyway to say, okay, God, what are you trying to tell me? Well, my God wink was that he burnt my house down 3 feet of water. And with traditional Chinese
Yeah.
medicine, the pillars of creation are fire and water and heaven and
Okay.
earth.
Wow. Yeah.
So I looked
Oh.
at that as, okay, there's a message deeper in it for me. And I
Hmm.
heard, you're meant, it's time for a change.
Wow.
Not easy, but it then gave me a profound realization that I have two fingers and a thumb, an open mind and an open heart. And I have natural healing at my fingertips. And it took me out of the mode of thinking my brand was my business, Healing Touch Natural Essentials, to no, I'm my brand. I'm the brand. It's my voice that needs to be shared through my hands. And this podcast, I doubled down and said, okay, I hear you loud and clear. Thank you. I'm going to go ahead. And the irony was we were starting our training for this podcast group 4 days later.
Mm-hmm.
So I've shown up, I've done it, I've looked for the messages, and I'm just wanting to come out with a message for other people and keep it simple so that other people can glean the benefits and make this part of their everyday practice as well. So it's kind of like, may the possibilities excite me, is what I told myself. So here I
Well,
am. And that's
let's
basically in a nutshell what I went through.
yeah, I only laugh because it's so all encompassing. I want to hold a space for you and that devastation and that loss because I can't pretend to honestly even imagine what that was like. I've never been through anything like that. And you watch the news, like I lived in Asheville, Carolina for a short time, and I have some close friends who, were right in it. And I read some, I mean, gut-wrenching stories about, children being ripped out of their mother's hands by the water up on the roofs of their house. And so I can't imagine like the true pain that you really felt. But I think that you are such a beautiful example of the surrender that we were talking about earlier, because I mean, look at you. You are so resilient and also so able to be still and I mean, of course, the panic, but instead of holding on to those emotions, you did rise from them. You did actually go to God and say, what can I learn from this? And I mean, not only did he speak to you, but like you talked about the fire and the water, like he gave you these signs, this imagery, and um I mean, wow, what a story. And there's just so much beauty and pain and resilience in it and loss and it's just crazy when those two things, that don't go together, like beauty and pain, they often do though, there's actually a book I read over the summer that helped pull me out of my funk. It was actually like the beginning of my transformation, and it was called The Hard Good. And it's just this juxtaposition of these, two things we go through that can occur at the same time, and they do. So, through all your pain, you've overcome, and not that the pain's not still going to be there because you suffered a significant loss. Um, but God is a God of seasons, and it's really, I mean, it's more than encouraging, but it's just really beautiful that you've been able to rise into your next season and clearly fully put all your faith and your trust in him and say, okay, what do you have next for me? And that is a scary thing to do. I mean, I just want to recognize how courageous you are.
Thank you so much. I have to say too that I'm 10 weeks removed from it,
Yeah,
and I've had such a great outpouring of love and support, and that's been most helpful. And I got my stamina back and restored my physical feelings in my body to being me again, and that's great. And what I have learned, this isn't my first time in a limo with something hard,
sure.
but it's life challenges, the ones that feel so insurmountable. Like, what do you say? Like, I haven't gone back to Florida because, quite frankly, I don't have a home to go back to, if you will. Like, it's all going to be different for me. And
Um,
that's okay. But I do have a strong source of resilience and purpose. And this message and mission in me has been formulating for decades.
yeah,
And what I realized as well is our losses do not have to define us, but rather they can refine us. And I always looked at myself as being shaped and molded into who I am. And it was always these very difficult moments in my life when I would ask God and I never got a clear understanding. Like if something didn't make sense, I would say, okay, this is something you're using to shape and mold me with.
Mm.
So I know I have enough patience and grace to realize that you are correct. I'm listening to the soul's whisper, AKA God, spirit, soul,
Yeah.
Jesus, whomever, the energy that is here to make Marci who she's meant to be in this worldly space. And it's time. My snow globe got shaken. It's time for me to resettle. And one of the best things that happened at my sister's is she has this little jar that has all these little ticker tapes that are all folded, and you open them up, and it's just a beautiful message from the Bible. And I flipped open this piece, and it fell right into my coffee. And I had to fish it out. And it says, trust the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understandings. Proverbs 3:5.
Yeah.
And isn't that the truth?
Isn't it? Yeah, absolutely. And it's easier said than done. You know, that's like sometimes we hang the signs on the wall, but to actually walk it out is a whole nother thing. And how beautiful that he's prepared you, you know, with your self acupressure techniques and with your knowledge of energy and everything. I mean, I think some people would let this completely knock them out, and you had the tools and the wisdom to let it refine you instead.
Yeah, so I'm
Wow.
really excited now to help people understand these natural healing tools that we do have, not only through our fingertips, but through the essential oils, which I know you mentioned to me you're interested in learning about. And I have
Yes.
a huge fund of knowledge on the chemical constituencies of oils. I've taken training in
Ooh,
that for a long time. So I want to unfold it together, and that's what I'm going to share and really give people more autonomy to be able at any moment to listen in and honor the way they're feeling and shift it if they have to. So it can calm
yeah.
stress, boost your immunity, and just really the majority of everyday situations, you can find an acupressure point or essential oil for that. So that's the platform I'm going to stand on for God right now. And I feel like I'm being guided and moved, and I'm super excited about it. And
Yeah.
I just really feel like this is where I have been leading for quite some time. And it kind of was like, okay, this is what you want. Well, now you got it. Now go out and do it. So,
Isn't it beautiful? I can resonate with that. I feel like God put my signature program that I'm in the works of creating right now on my heart at least 4 years ago. And at the time, I just wasn't in a place where it felt possible and it wasn't really fully developed or realized. I just knew it was something he had filled me with, and I knew that my mission was to complete it. So I'm with you. Like you and I are in this together because I do know how you feel to be pregnant with something for so long and then finally now get to walk it out. And we get to do it together and we get to support each other and our missions are aligned. So, I mean, I'm envisioning you and I teaming up and even maybe doing like a workshop together one day. It's like the possibilities are really unlimited. So I'm excited for you. And one of my final questions for you, what's your mission?
my mission is when you learn an acupressure point, when you learn one, teach one. So I'm
Ooh,
really wanting for all of us to become a community where we can support each other on on our wellness journey and all these modalities. And when we learn something, we teach something. So for me, it's when you learn one, teach one. And I want to literally reach 1 million people so that we can have more natural healing in this world. And we're in a world of hurt right now. There are many people that even if they just knew how to do that one inner gate pericardium 6 PC6 acupressure exercise we just did on the wrist. You can
yeah.
do that so discreetly. I wanted everybody in Nashville to know that. I wanted everybody to know that in those Appalachia for the people that lost everything. If they just knew to do this one thing right now, they could calm themselves every moment that they had to. So for me, this is a mission. It is really just to have people come back into their true essence and get out of our reptilian brain of fear and protecting us from the past and the boogeyman's coming. And it's just being able to calm ourselves and get back into our own divine nature.
Well, I'm inspired and I am joining you on this mission. I can see me teaching it to women, as a form of self-care, as a form of inner beauty. And I can see me laying in bed with my daughter, calming her by teaching her to do it too. I mean, and then I'm going like, well, Marci, I hope you make a video to teach us like how to do it with dogs. I mean, can you imagine how many people, people's pets are their babies, and my dog is an anxious one. I can only imagine the benefits of getting with my Jack and doing a little acupressure on him. Any final thoughts before we just make sure people know where to reach you?
Well, yeah, I'll give you a little guidance on how to do that for your sweet dog because it's super
Aw,
easy.
okay.
Okay. You know where the dew claw is on your dog or a cat, on their
Yeah,
forearm, that
okay.
extra pad. You stimulate that exact spot underneath the dew claw, like you did on your wrist. And
Mhm.
I'll tell you what, you can drop a dog like a fainting goat. I used to do it where
Oh,
I worked.
really?
Yes, it brings them down and calms them. It's a very beautiful point to do for an autistic child who can't quite get their emotions together or communicate what they need to do. It's
Yeah,
just wonderful. You can do this on your dog or a cat underneath the dew claw. So you try
interesting.
that and you let me know how you think it made your dog feel. You watch for a shift. Uh,
Whoa.
licking, chewing,
Yeah.
any of those things are indicators in an animal a lot of times. A big sigh, um, laying down, a big, just exhale. Like I said, I had a hound dog where I worked. One of my boss's dogs was a puppy, and he'd leave and go, okay, now you have the dog. And I'd hear the dog chewing on things in the back room, go, come here. And I'd just do this on the dew claw, and the dog would fall over on the floor and sleep for about 20 minutes right next to me so I could get my work done.
Oh, I love that. This is awesome. I
So
can't
you
wait.
try it.
I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna try it and I'm gonna let you know how it goes. Tell us the name of your podcast one more time. Tell us where to find it and how to find you on social media.
Okay, Ashley, my podcast is actually live now on most of the platforms people would listen to a podcast. I'm on Apple and Spotify, iHeartRadio. I do have a YouTube channel, and my podcasts are both named Natural Healing at Your Fingertips. And I am at Healing Touch Natural Essentials on Instagram.
Okay. Well, thank you. I enjoyed our time so much. I know this conversation has been life changing for myself, and I love the pleasure of getting to meet you. And I'm just really looking forward to all the beauty that's going to come from everything you're doing, Marci, and how many people that you'll impact.
Thank you so much. Can I leave you with one takeaway task?
Please.
Now that you learned one, teach one. You
Gotcha.
can share that pericardium 6 with as many people as you would like, and I will send you a PDF that you can actually have in case you want to share
Oh,
that with them too.
beautiful. Well, we love you and thank you so much.
Thank you, sweetheart.
Oh my gosh, thank you for listening. If you got something out of this episode, be sure to follow or subscribe to Her Identity Project on your favorite podcast platform. Make sure you're notified about new episodes. Please hit the like, the share buttons, get on social media, spread the word. Please take time to leave me a review. That would mean more to me than you could ever know, and it helps get eyes on this show so that other people
can, just get all the goodness out of it. If you're loving it, please hit me up in my DMs. I absolutely want to hear your feedback. Thanks again for listening. I'll see you next time.